Yeah, as Spotify employees, we're demanding the executives allow us to edit and censor Joe Rogan's podcast.
Or we are walking out.
Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
No! Stop!
He's spreading hate and must be stopped. He's transphobic. He always talks about how he likes trans people, which means he doesn't love trans people, which means he hates trans people.
Hateful Joe Rogan has built a massive audience because people enjoy and respect what he and his guests have to say. But who knows better than his audience what they want to hear? We do!
Instead of hearing what Joe has to say, his audience would rather hear what we want him to be able to say.
His audience just isn't intelligent enough to know what they want to hear. But luckily here in the SJW wing, we can think for them because we're highly intelligent people.
Well, kind of. I identify as a cat. But the executives at Spotify won't cater to our demands. It's almost like they value a $100 million asset more than a $49,000 asset.
These high-level business executives just don't know how to do business. I mean, do a lot of people listen to Joe Rogan's podcast?
Yes.
But would even more people listen to a heavily censored version of that same podcast?
Also yes.
Me.
Our demands are that Joe Rogan cannot be broadcast talking about the following: trans issues, because he's transphobic.
Women, because he's a man, which means he's not a woman, which means he's misogynistic.
Gay people, because he doesn't want to have sex with men, which makes him homophobic.
Racial issues, because he's always having his black friends on his show and giving them massive publicity and help for their careers, which he only does because he's white and he feels guilty about being white, as he should, because he's a racist.
MMA, because it's a sport, and sports are insensitive to paraplegics that can't play sports.
Elk meat, because I'm a vegan.
DMT, because it's a drug, and I only take Adderall.
Ideas, because they're insensitive to people who can't think.
Comedy, because it's hateful to people who aren't funny.
And he can never talk about how Caitlyn Jenner killed somebody with her car because I don't want to believe that it's true. Having open-minded conversations and exploring new ideas, that's very dangerous and super close-minded. It's not how you learn.
It's like the old wisdom that says, letting the inmates run the asylum is always a good idea. Are you listening to me, Spotify executives? I have to use my litter box now.
You made him pee. The only reason he hunts elk is because he thinks elk are actually trans women, which makes him want to shoot them. That's how hateful Joe Rogan is. Yeah, I appreciate you asking. I actually used to play basketball, but every time I missed a shot, the refs wouldn't give me any points, even though I deserved points, because I tried to get them. So I got mad at the refs for pushing an oppressive narrative of not giving people points even though they really tried for them. So I quit, because I couldn't stand being around illogical referees who were pushing a false narrative and oppressing people that they had control over because they had a whistle. They were ruining the game of basketball. So anyway, if I don't get my way here at Spotify, I'm walking out.
I stepped in poopy.
The executives refuse to clean his litter box.
Joe Rogan stepped in poop using my foot. We have to stop this monster.
In Joe Rogan's own words that I'm putting into his mouth, he hates all people who don't have kettlebell calluses on their hands.
After we apply enough childish pressure on the Spotify execs to get them to cave in and let us censor Joe Rogan, then we'll be happy to work towards censoring your music and then burning your books.
Because as Spotify employees, not only do we know what's best, but we also care.